We're continuing our discussion of higher education in China, the fastest growing system of higher education in quantity as well as in quality in the world. And I'm here with Professor Mary Brown Bullock. Mary is the Executive Vice Chancellor of Duke Kunshan University. She's the former president of Agnes Scott College, and she's a very noted China scholar here in the United States. She is starting an altogether new university in China, Duke Kunshan University. And Mary, tell us what it is and why you're doing it.
Bill, it's very exciting. You've been to Kunshan, you know what an interesting city it is. Starting a new university is really quite amazing. We have three sponsors: Duke University, Kunshan City, and Wuhan University. And we're literally starting the university from scratch. The buildings are coming up as we speak. There will be 5 buildings when we open, and an entirely new curriculum and a new campus. The goal is to create a new model of a university for China, but perhaps also for the rest of the world.
So in what way would it be new? In what way would it be distinctive, say, of what might happen in Durham or in Wuhan?
One of the things we're looking at is whether you can create a new kind of curriculum that is a global curriculum, that is really comparative and interdisciplinary. We aren't starting an undergraduate full curriculum yet, but we're trying little modules of it to see what might work well with Chinese students, with international students, and how one might really put together a new kind of university. We don't have to have departments, Bill. We don't have to have divisions. Or schools. We can really create also a new structure, a new administrative structure. So everybody involved is finding this pretty exciting.
Well, what kind of programs will you start with? Obviously, you can't start with everything in a brand new university.
We'll start with 3 master's degree programs. These are Duke master's degree programs, but each in its own way, I think, reflects a new era in education. A Master's of Management Science is not a traditional MBA. This is a management, an interdisciplinary management degree that is designed to give liberal arts majors an opportunity to experiment, to go into business, but without necessarily a business background. We're also offering a master's in global health. Global health is a new discipline. It's more interdisciplinary, again, than public health. It involves much more societal issues, anthropology, economics. And as you can tell, by global health, it must involve all of the world. So to cite it in China, where students and faculty have a chance to see really the evolution of health issues in China, it gives it, I think, a great location. And the 3rd degree is medical physics. Medical physics is a combination, as you could say, of medicine and physics. I didn't know what it was. But we all are aware of the science today that looks at your body, that does radiology, CAT scans, and that is particularly important in cancer, cancer treatment, cancer detection, but other diseases as well. So this is the science that looks at how you use physics and apply it in a medical direction, particularly in the imaging world. So that's a very different kind of degree. But these 3 degrees, I think, suggest some of the directions that Duke Kunshan will go. There'll be a significant emphasis on medicine, but medicine in a broader sense, not a medical degree. And then also looking at management, and we will move on from there into other areas of social sciences.
So I can see why this is surely a great thing for Kunshan, which to date has not had a major university. And I can see why a partnership with Wuhan and Duke would be a very good thing for both universities, and why these opportunities might be great for Chinese students in different areas. It's Duke's first really university abroad, if one can think of it in that way. And so why would you say is Duke doing this?
Duke is doing it to give its students and its faculty, and I would say its staff, exposure to China, to learn more about China. And I would say that it's already having a transformative effect at Duke University. So many Duke faculty have traveled to China, have been engaged in planning, that they're now thinking, well, how might this play in China, or how might we adapt this education for China? So part of it is the very process of creating a new university in a new setting and trying to learn something about the context, about the country. But I think Duke has a larger ambition, which is to create a new curriculum, as I mentioned, particularly in the liberal arts, one that will try ideas and bring them back to the Durham campus. For example, these would be undergraduate courses, perhaps even we would return to some required core courses that are interdisciplinary, that are very comparative, and that would look at science and the humanities together in ways that we always talk about doing but don't always do it. So without formal structures, I believe that the faculty at Duke hope that they can try something that'll be useful and innovative for Chinese students, but also for students from the United States.
Mary, you're a historian of education in an earlier period of Chinese history. Mary has written the books on the history of Peking Union Medical College, the great medical school begun in the Republican period. That was an era in which many international ventures took place in China with really quite dramatic after effects and very positive ones institutionally. How would you compare that period of Chinese foreign interaction in the field of higher education with what's going on today?
Very interesting. One big difference is that the Chinese are inviting American institutions today. These institutions, Duke would be one of them, but there are others as well, are part of China's design to introduce some new models of education. In the early Republican period, it was really Americans inviting themselves. Yes, they had sponsors in different places, but there wasn't a kind of close collaboration with a Ministry of Education or provincial ministries at that time. So I would say there's much more collaboration with a more, obviously, a mature Chinese educational structure, and that is very important. The success of today's institutions, joint venture institutions, will very much depend on how that collaboration unfolds. Given the success that you and I know about of the earlier era of these standalone institutions, I think this augurs very well for a new generation of institutions that are already more effectively embedded in the Chinese educational structure.
We're at an era right now in which many Chinese universities are contemplating how they will reintroduce the liberal arts into their curriculum. You have the Yuanpei program at Peking University. You have Fudan College at Fudan Universities, liberal arts colleges within research universities. DKU, Duke Kunshan University, is different in the sense that it's also a residential college outside of the city. Like an American liberal arts college in New England or in the Midwest, so separated out from all of the great pressures and great opportunities, one might say, but separated out from being part of a major research university. You'll have extensions of Duke's research mission, to be sure, in Kunshan and Wuhan's as well. How do you imagine the residential life aspect? Several thousand students in time living on a 200-acre campus in a beautiful city of Kunshan. How do you imagine this being different for both Chinese and international students who are there?
You know, I like to think of it as a Jeffersonian academic community. You can know that wonderful quad, the lawn, the Jeffersonian lawn with the faculty residences on the side, and interspersed were living for students, and then the academic buildings. University of Virginia. Mm-hmm. And DKU is going to have faculty housing right next to the student dormitory. I know because I'm going to be living in one of those faculty apartments. There'll be shared places for eating meals together. It'll be very much, I think, a commons in that sense. So I'm hopeful that we will create a community in which faculty and students do mix outside the classroom and engage in social activities or informal discussions, the kind of thing that, you know, we really feel is the ideal, the beau ideal of an academic community. We won't be rushing off to the latest Shanghai restaurant or something like that. That's going to take some nurturing. I believe that I know Chinese students are ready for this, they look forward to a time when they can really get to know their faculty. And when faculty can help them as mentors, not just with this course or that course, but with kind of planning a longer-term life, their longer-term career. I also think we'll have visiting scholars and professors come from other places. And given the scale, I hope many people will go to the same functions so that one great speaker can really stimulate a campus-wide discussion. So those are just some ideas of how we might try to create a really living intellectual community.
You know, it's not easy being, I think, the founding president or co-president, because there's also Chancellor Liu from Wuhan, but a founder of a new university. John Harvard is in some sense our founder, but he actually never took part in actually running the university here at Harvard. There must have been, and must still be, some challenges facing the startup of an altogether new university. What are some of the issues that you've had to deal with?
You know, some of the issues really have to do with the structure. The Chinese have a saying that even a sparrow has all of its parts. So even though we start as a small institution, we have to have a library, we certainly have to have a full-scale IT system, we have to have a dormitory, we have to student life programs. And so we really want to make sure that even the first year we have all of the components. So developing the infrastructure in the beginning is certainly something I've been working on quite a bit this first year. Another part, which we're just beginning, is how do you put together the values and the principles of this new community? We draw on our heritage from Wuhan and from Duke, but we want the values also to embody a new institution. So how do we do that? We're spending some time thinking about that. We will certainly adapt some of our founding institution's values, but my hope that is in the first year or two, the first faculty, the first students, what fun. They get to help maybe write a school song, but also think of what are the ethical values and how to write about them, how to talk about them. So those are some of the really exciting things about a new institution. You know, calendars are a problem. The Chinese New Year's holiday that shifts every year. How do you develop a calendar for a graduate and an undergraduate program? These are just a few of the, you might say, more mundane things, but they have to get resolved before we start.
Do you have plans? You know, Duke is extremely well known in China as a great research university, as a great undergraduate college, and not incidentally for having one hell of a basketball team. Do you have plans for a DKU basketball team? Is Coach K going to join the faculty?
You know, there's already a basketball court that's actually been put up on the construction site for people to use. We don't have immediate plans for a basketball team, but Coach K's already been to Kunshan, and he brought a Duke basketball team for demonstration games. We're now talking about Duke women's basketball, bringing them for an exhibition, and certainly I'm sure we will have soccer and basketball.
Well, maybe Duke and Harvard could play a game.
Maybe so.
There, and we will do
we'll
our
see who wins.
I will not dare make a prediction on that. Mary Brown Bullock, thank you very, very much for joining us, and we will all be very shortly in Kunshan to visit Duke Kunshan University as it nears its completion. Mary, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.